Hey everybody, Jason here. Hope you're all doing really good. Today I'm going to be working on an iPhone 8 Plus that was sent here because of no touch, and it looks like somebody has messed with it. So I have already got the board out of this thing, and I've had a quick look at it under the microscope, and also, let's see, I just wrote no touch. That typically means I was not told about any sort of prior rework. All right, let's read the ticket. I replaced a few components in a customer's iPhone 8 Plus, which were lightning flex, loudspeaker, and ear speaker. Touch was working prior to the repair. Subsequent to changing parts, I no longer get touch. I tried a new screen with the same result. After testing the FPC for the screen, I found one pin not having a diode mode reading that should read 1.8. Tracing it back, I found no signal on the network directly connected to the pin, which included only a capacitor and a resistor. I tested on the other side of the resistor though, and got a small reading. I replaced the resistor and the problem persists. I replaced the capacitor and the problem persists. Anyway, this is something I don't know how to diagnose yet, so thank you, Tim. I appreciate it. This guy has been completely transparent and told me that he's worked on this. So many times I get them out and they're not honest, and it's, oh my God. Let's have a look at this board. Here we are under the microscope. Now, aside from having trouble with no touch, this board is also going to have trouble with battery percentage. As you can see here, we have got a component responsible for creating one of the battery data lines. It is missing right here, and that's going to need to be there in order to get proper battery percentage. Oh, it's not actually missing. Look, we've got it right over here. There we go. And that one has the pad on it. And I'm actually going to reuse that. If we can revive touch, I'm going to put that component, if I don't lose it, back on the board. All right, but we're not worried about battery percentage right now. We are worried about touch. So this thing was getting touch before doing any kind of work on it. Now, there's a lot of stuff under this goo here. Let's go ahead. I'm going to drop some alcohol on this so I can see it a little bit better. Q-tip, a little bit of alcohol. There we go. Go ahead and do these as well. Now, how about the bottom of the board? Yeah, the bottom of the board, it looks like it has been through hell and back, but it doesn't look like the sticker's been removed. So let's continue to soak these things here. I'm pretty confident that whatever's going on here is probably topside. There's a lot of stuff moving right there. I don't like that. What is all that moving? There's something really big moving right there, guys. Ugh. Maybe it's just the sticker. Right? Just the sticker. Yeah, nothing's been hot enough to detach anything on here. I always get scared when I see components moving under the overfill, because so often people use hot air on them, and it looks like this one has had some hot air used on it. So often people will use hot air on them, and it can detach components that are under this overfill. And it is such an annoying pain in the neck to deal with after it's happened. It's much easier to deal with before it happens and prevent it. But as long as you don't get the board too hot, you don't have to worry about that too much. This board has definitely seen some heat. Not a lot in the way of damaged components, though. Okay, just about to start taking some readings here. Now I will say that this pin out here, no I won't. I mean, this is still okay. This is still going to make a connection. A little melted. It got bumped with a soldering iron, quite clearly. But it shouldn't be, I mean, it should still work. Okay, so we've got some things out here missing at the connector. Okie dokie. All right, let's dig in here and see if we can figure out why we get no touch. Now, let's see. He said that, no, he just said he found one pin not having a diode mode reading. He didn't say exactly which pin. And I suggested for him to check the ground pins on the home button connector, which will cause touch issues on the 7 and 8. It's ridiculous, but all right, well, let's go ahead. Let's pull up a board view of this thing. Now for this phone, I'm going to be opening up Flex Board View. Flex Board View is my go-to board view for board view things. It has gotten me through some rough times. All right, so here we are. We've got Flex Board View on the screen. We have the connector on the screen. Let's see if we have an iPhone 8 Plus. I'm pretty sure we do. Is this an iPhone? Yeah, 8 Plus. No! No! Someone please give me board view for iPhone 8 Plus, please. Okay, iPhone 8 Plus. There we go. We're going to zoom in and we're going to have a look at the connector. Now, one thing that I really like about Flex is that we can have that connector on the screen and be able to see all of the net names. So now we're going to go through here in diode mode and we're going to check these pins and we're going to look for things that are broken that should not be broken. So for this, we are going to put our red probe on ground and we're going to put our black probe on the connector. We're just going to buzz up through here. So 0.33, 0L. The second one is showing open. What is the second one? It goes between connectors, right? Yeah, well, we're not going to worry about that one. So that one can stay open. Okay, 6 is ground, that's right. 7th pin over, 0.35, 8, and 0.22, that's probably okay. 10, 11.4, that's probably okay. 12, 13, 0. That's going to be our ground pin out there, right? All right, let's take a moment to count. I'm going to make sure we're on the 13th one over. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, that is our ground. Let's scooch over. I'm going to go ahead and start from the right-hand side now. These, let's see, we're troubleshooting touch. Let's not check any of these. These lines, these are all image chokes, so we can just stop right there. Let's skip down to the bottom row now, and let's run across the bottom row. Okay, so we're going to do red probe on ground. Okay, not getting anything on that first one right off the bat. And what line is that first one? Oh, that's one of those. Okay, this could give us an issue. Let's go ahead and skip that for now. We're probably not going to have to worry about this display EEPROM pin, but we're going to check them anyways. So let's run across here. What was our third one over? I'm getting a little bit sidetracked here. I've got a lot going on. Okay. So here we go. On the fourth one, we get $0L on our fourth one. We're going to need that. This is necessary for touch. And this is going to be what is wrong with this phone, FL5776. Obviously missing. I don't know why I'm sitting here trying to use my brain whenever this one just has stuff that's quite obviously broken. So I'm going to go ahead, we're going to stick this in a board holder because we have more work to do than just repairing touch. I'm reasonably confident now that after repairing the damage that is going on right here by the battery connector, that will have touch. But at the same time, I'm also reasonably confident that after this thing, after we have touch and we, I didn't even try to boot this one. Whoops. After we have touch, I'm confident that we're also going to have a wonky battery percentage, so we're also going to have to fix the battery percentage. So let's get this thing fixed. I'm going to put it in a board holder. Get her clamped down nice and firm. All right, let's start doing some work on this thing. I'm going to be using a fairly low temperature to start out with here, and I'm going to start warming the board up. Well, you can tell he has floated, it looks like he's floated the battery connector maybe. Luckily these connectors all look pretty good. I'm just going to sort of clear out some of this rubbery stuff around these components. So this one is missing an SPI line for touch. This is this little inductor that's missing right here. And then also, it is also missing this inductor right here, but then this component that it's missing here. If we look at flex, you'll see that that is just a, that's just a capacitor, and that is a capacitor on the battery line. It's really not necessary. I'm not sure if I'll put it back on there or not. We'll see. All right. Okay, so that's all looking pretty good. Let's go ahead and add a little bit of flux. There we are. Now we're going to tin these up. No touch screen over this one tiny little component right there. Okay, and although I'm not sure if I'm going to put this little cap back on here, I'm going to go ahead and shine up those pads just in case. Boy, I got a new tip coming for this iron, but it won't be here till tomorrow. One more day on this piece of crap. Oh, I'm still on low temp. I'm like, why is this not? These pads I'm trying to tin up out here, this is ground pads, and they require a lot more heat than what you see me do first. So we're going to raise the temperature of this board a bit more, and now when I touch these pads, I should get solder sticking. There we go. Okay, so we got a couple of nice domes on those, as nice as they're getting anyways. All right, let's find us an FL to stick in there to repair our little touch problem. Let's see, for that, I got a smaller strip here that I'm working on, right? Where is it? Where are they at? Oh, for the love of all things. Oh, here it is. Okay. Ha. We're going to grab us a brand. Wait a minute. Is that it? That might be it. We're going to grab us a brand spanking new backlight filter. I think that's the right size. If not, I'll have to grab something else. There we are. And we're going to drop this little monster right... Whoopsie! It's not a backlight filter. Uh-oh. Now I'm in deep trouble. Am I really out of 1005 filters? How does this even happen to me? I got 1005 capacitors. Where are my 1005 filters? This is all somebody else's fault for not ordering parts. Well, this is certainly embarrassing. Here we are. Set that steaming pile of garbage aside. Okay, and this one we're going to finagle in right here. Aha, now we got one that's small enough to fit. That up, not too hot. There we go. I'm just sort of spot checking around in here. I'm trying to make sure that as a result of my heating there that I didn't accidentally detach anything else. And everything else here looks pretty good. All right, yeah, looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and start cleaning this. Now, I'm pretty confident that that part that I just stuck in like that, that's gonna stay that way. So right now, the cleaning that I'm gonna do, I'm prepping to have this phone done. We still have to fix the battery percentage. I'm willing to bet that right now this thing is gonna boot up with working touch, but I'm also willing to bet that it's gonna boot up and think that it has 1% battery, regardless of how charged the battery is. So first, we're gonna test and make sure that it has working touch. And I'm gonna show you what I mean about the battery percentage. And then we'll fix battery percentage, and I will invoice this customer and eat another day. Okay, let's make sure our connectors are going to be good here. No goop in the connectors. All right, we'll take this for now. Maybe one. Okay, one more wipe. One more wipe across the Dr. Flex FPC here. There we go. Oh, yes. Oh, Billy. Okay, so I have more fun than you guys, I guess. Okay. Remember, this will get cleaned once more because of this. Gosh, how does somebody do it? Look at all this room you could pry this connector off from all these different directions, yet somehow they managed to cram their pry tool down in here. And you can see this little transistor is missing. Well, it's not missing, we found it, but if we plan on having battery percentage, we're going to need that. All right, guys, let's make sure we got working touch. And then we'll deal with the rest of the hairs and fuzz and everything that's all over this. Okay. The first moment of truth. Truth. What do you say? I don't know how to say that. Let's just use the customer's gizzards. We're going to use the screen just so we have a working home button and we know that it's going to start up smoothly. So here is our screen. There. Don't like that. Ooh, baby, that felt nice. And now let's grab us an iPhone 8 test lead. Yes, I'm hanging test leads on my tripod. Let's connect our power lead here. There we are. We'll turn our power supply on. And now let's prompt this thing to boot. And 1, 2, 3, boot. Wait, I get nothing. That's not good. Okay, 1, 2, 3, boot. My connector, what's up? Ah, it was just my connector, I wiggled it. All right, so we got a signal to boot. No, we don't. It's peculiar. No, we are not getting a boot prompt through my USB adapter. Now, I don't know if the battery's just not making a good enough connection, like maybe my connector's bad. That's possible. Let's go ahead and slip this in a housing that has a power button. Okay. There we go. There we are. Okay. Now we're going to press the power button to boot in 1, 2, 3, boot. We have an image on the screen. And we're going to wait and see if we have working touch. We're going to have working touch, but we're not going to have battery percentage. Let's check first the touch, and then we'll check battery percentage just for the sake of the video. Okay, so we're up and running. We'll hit emergency. Oh, for the love of God, we have no working touch. No. No touch. Why do we not have working touch? Let's get back in here and look at this again. Did I screw it up? It looks pleasantly connected. Oh, look. The ground pins. Aha. I've been waiting. Been waiting my whole entire life to demonstrate this and also to give thanks. Rico Serva. I'm going to put a link to your channel in the description below. I was reading in one of the Facebook groups and I seen a comment from you. You got laughed off the face of the planet and I think even banned for this, but this fix I cannot take credit for. Although this did have a broken line responsible for touch, there is another issue here that's also causing no touch, and I'm going to show it to you. Now, how can I demonstrate this? What we're going to do, I'm going to hook this screen back up, okay? And we're going to hook this back up without the home button connector. We're going to hook up only the display connector. I bet you this phone gets working touch, and then I'm going to show you why. All right. So let's hook this phone back up. We're going to hook up not the home button. We're going to only hook up the display connector. Okay? Only display, no home button. Now, let's use the DC power supply again, just to be certain that it's going to boot right up. Should we use the iPhone 10 connector? Would that be easier? No, let's use the one made for it. All right. So now we did not hook up the home button. We're going to prompt this phone to boot. So turn on the power supply. That would help. Let's let it boot up. Now, without the home button, I expect for it to take longer to start up. But what I'm trying to demonstrate here is that I think this phone is going to have working touch without the home button hooked up, and then I'm going to show you why. Okay. Working touch. See this? We have working touch. No problems with touch, right? Okay. Now, just for the sake of the video, let's go ahead and reconnect the home button. Home button's connected. Display is connected. Power supply. Ugh. Okay, so now we have home button and display. Let's turn the phone on. And what do you know? Now we have non-working touch with the home button connected. So this is, beyond a shadow of doubt, the issue that I was speaking of. And this issue I learned how to fix by Rico Serva. Rico, I don't think me or anybody else on the face of the planet would have ever tried this had I not seen your post about this. So let's go ahead. We're going to fix this. You're never going to believe it. I mean, let's zoom in and repair this problem. You see out here at the end of this home button connector, you see how we've got these ground pins are pushed back inside this connector here. See here? These pins are inside the connector and they don't make connection. Now, if you look at the schematic, I mean, let's just switch over here. Let's have another look at Flexboard view. And if you look at this schematic and you zoom in down here and we look at that connector, the end of that connector, it's ground. So why in the hell would ground on the home button connector cancel out your ability for touch to work? It's really, really peculiar. I've never looked at the schematic to decide why this happens, but sure enough, if you have the home button connected and it is missing ground, pins 28, 27, and 30 on the connector, if those are missing, it kills touch. So watch this. We're going to fix this board now so that touch will work with the home button connected. We're only going to take... Oh, did he already break that off? No, it's not broke off. This is a customer I had suggested for them to check this before sending it. So we're going to get behind that. And we're just going to pull this out, okay? So we've pulled that out. Now ground is going to come out and be able to touch. Let's do the same thing on this side so that we got some redundancy. You know, a lot of times in repair, people will leave ground out. this is one of those times when it's not okay. All right, so all we've done is pulled that connector back out. Now we're going to hook the screen up to it, and by fixing the ground connection on the home button side, this thing will have working touch with everything hooked up. Okay, so hook up our power supply. There we go. And let's prompt it to boot. Okay. Now this time around, since we fixed the ground, we should have working touch, and we should also have a clicking home button, which we didn't check the home button before. I don't know if it worked or not. I've never really verified that. Okay. Now we have working touch. And clicking home button. Yes, it works. All right. Now what good would this be if I didn't finish the repair? I know you people here are anxious to have me posting repair videos. It's been a while since I've done an actual scratch your head and figure it out repair. So now we're going to hook up the battery to this phone. Get it folded just right so it'll sit down on there. There we go. And I'm going to show that we do not have a functioning battery percentage. Stay there. I'll try to show this. All right. So the phone most likely will not communicate with the battery. We will see if it will be able to power on. Phones that are missing that transistor, they will power up, they'll register a charge, but they won't. This one's not charging the battery. Oh, this is nice. This is lovely. Did I plug it in? No, I'm an idiot. They will register a charge and stuff, but they don't read the battery percentage properly. This does not feel good. Okay, so now with our dock flex hooked up and the battery hooked up, let's see what happens when we connect a charger. I'm expecting it to boot and show 1% battery. There we go. There you go, it is booted. Now we can't read the battery percentage because it's not turned on. Actually, it's not registering a charger at all after it's booted. Or it's only charging on one side. Let's see, it showed that it was connected. We're charging now at 300 milliamps. You know, I'm not... Do we have a passcode? Yes, I have a passcode. So now that we've entered the passcode, we're going to go in here to battery. The battery, it just says service, and when I turn on battery percentage, it's not showing up at the top. Now something else we can do, we can hook this up to 3 U-tools. Okay, we're going to trust the computer. Go. So now we have this hooked up to 3 U-tools, and if we look here and if we click on battery charge times, it shows 0, and battery life here, it shows no data. So this thing, it's not reading any data from the battery. There might be other charging stuff going on here right now, but we know that we have a battery data issue, and that's where I'm going to stop on this video. So let's go ahead now, let's get this out of here. I'm going to fix the battery data issue and give this phone the ability to communicate with the battery. And that will also, then it will know what its true voltage and percentage and all those goodies are. So for this, we're going to go ahead and take the board out of it. And we have to get a transistor in place in order to bring up the other part of this communication system for the battery. All right, so there's our board out of it. We're going to be placing the board back in a holder. In order to do it. And let's get it under the microscope. Okay, now because of the close quarters, with all of the with these ceramic components and stuff right next to our missing thing there, I'm not sure if I'm going to do this the way I normally do it. Let's go ahead and try. I'm going to see if I can get a wire soldered to that right here to where we're missing the component. Okay, so we're going to get down in here and we're just going to scratch this back. Okay, let's go ahead now. I'm going to look at Flexboard view once more here and just verify where that side of that missing little demon goes. It's close by. I might not, well, it is close by, but I don't know. I may or may not get down into the board and solder to the via there. So we can actually grab onto that. We can go just right down to the battery connector. You know, that goes down here to the connector. We could actually grab onto that down here and get it up there that way. Or, you know, we could actually do both. So let's get us a piece of jumper wire out and fix up our battery data line here. I like to use iPhone ear speaker wire. It is abundant. Every time I run out of it, I just grab me another ear speaker. They seem to be laying like all over the place. Now for this jumper, we're going to need a pretty long piece. That's probably about enough. Okay. And we're going to cut this off right out here. So the first part of our wire, we're going to solder it right down to the connector. I guess if they were just like really fixated on touch, this guy might not have realized that the battery percentage and charging was wonky. But you never know. So we're just going to tin this up a little bit. Good enough. Get some flux on the connector. There we go. Let's get a little more flux in there. We need to scoot this wire just a little bit. It is soldered good, but I don't like where it landed. All right, that's beautiful. We'll leave that just like it is. Okay, now the other one here. Let's see where it's going to land. we go. So much easier when we have some board to work with to roll these up. See, because now what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to make a pad. We've got a missing pad, and when we got a nice flat surface to work with, I can just take and coil these, you know, make a little snake and roll it up like a hose. But this one, I'm going to be attempting to do like out in midair, because I can't damage these little, probably diodes or something underneath there. And I don't, you know, there's not really enough room here. To roll this up on the board. I guess if I was smart, I would have rolled it up first. All of this without squeezing the wire, because the wire's really thin. If you squeeze it, it'll break. You know, that's probably good enough. It's not small enough. So we can get it smaller. Oh, this is terrible. How embarrassing. Okay, we're gonna leave it just like that. We're gonna get it right down in the hole. Like that. Got some flux in there. Now, if I had my new tip, I could solder that down in that hole. This tip just won't quite get down in there. But boy, if it would make life a lot easier. Got it. got that down in there. Now let's clean off some of the goop. See what it looks like. I really like to get this soldered in from both ends. I've done a couple of them like this now. And I like to get it soldered from, like, say, the battery connector side and also down inside the board. But if I can only get one side or the other, I'm fine with that. Now we need to get all the flux cleaned off of here so we can see what it looks like. And then I'm going to add some UV mask on here. After this one, I'll probably beat myself up for at least a week for how sloppy it is. Oh, Lord. Every time I go to do a repair on video, this is the way things turn out. That's okay. Fuck. No, it's not. All right, so let's get us a piece of jumper wire. There we are. All right, flip it around. Now this wire itself, it's pretty big compared to what we're trying to solder to. So let's just get a little bend. There we go. Get a blob of solder here on the tip. Tin up our wire, and maybe we can do it this way. Drop the wire. That's lovely. Well, I got it to 10. All right, money shot, here we go. think we're on it now, fellas. It's so hard to do down inside that little hole. All right, that's good. That's actually better than what I was trying to do. Oh, what a royal pain in the neck. Okay, let's get the flux out of here so we can drop some UV mask on there before I tear that loose. So we see we've actually got it soldered into the via in the bottom. And then I'm going to take the other end of this wire and solder it to the battery connector. And then we've got us an OK pad repair. I mean, it's not pretty, but it's going to work. And at this point, wouldn't even really need the wire. I could trim that wire off, but I'm gonna go ahead and connect it anyways. You think we can solder something to that? I think we can solder something to that. I think that's going to be just fine. I'm going to leave it there before I accidentally break it loose. All right, let's get some UV mask on here. Okay. so we've got that kind of stuck. Oh! Throw my tweezers. So we got that kind of stuck down there. And let's see what we can do about the other end of this wire. What we should do about it anyways. So we're going to solder that one right there. Good enough. Clean that little bit of a char mark off the battery connector so it's like nothing ever happened. Okay, we're getting really close to having this one finished. I'm really not pleased with how much effort it took me to get that in there. But honestly, anytime I go to record a video, I'm learning that this is the way I am. I have some serious social anxiety issues, guys. And you know, as time goes on, I get a little better, a little worse. I go back and forth, but when you don't see me on YouTube for long periods of time, it's not that I don't want to be. It's just, I have trouble with it. It was a lot easier before people were watching, and now it's like, I get nervous. I don't plan on quitting though, so eventually I will get better. All right, enough about me. Let's get this cleaned up. Final coat of UV mask on here will drop us a new transistor in place. And we should have working touch, and we should have working battery percentage. Let's keep cleaning it until it is spotless. There we go. Now the links for everything that I use, as always, are in the description below. And if you click on those links and you use those links to buy things, you don't have to buy micro soldering things. If you buy anything after clicking those links, it gives a little bit of commission toward me and helps me to continue making these videos whenever money is tight. I don't like the little crease that's in that wire there, but if you remember right, we did solder this on the both sides. So it is okay if there is a break in the wire. We've tackled it from two ends. All right, and I think I'm about ready to go ahead and mask this down. Let's get that corner first. Like that. Oh, grab the hot air. I don't want hot air. We want ultraviolet. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to hold that wire down into the UV, into the glue there. Just enough right there, and UV it. And I'm looking away from the microscope, closing one eye. Okay, looks good. Now we'll let that cure really good. All right, so I'm going to stick this wire down here kind of scratch off a little spot of it, and then basically we're going to see if this thing boots up with working touch and has a functioning working battery percentage. And we can verify that by seeing that the percentage rises. We can verify charging current, but most of all I want to see whenever I connect this thing into 3U tools where before it had no data on where the battery was, it should actually show a battery percentage. So all right, that's enough time on that. Let's get some more mask on here and really stick this thing down good. And once again, I've nicked one of our little ceramic components there. We're just, don't tell the customer. Shh. All right, we'll get a connection. All right, cure this up with some mask. That is probably long enough. And let's have a look at it. Okay. Now we need us a nice spot to set us a transistor. Okay, let's get us a blob of solder down in here. I mean a blob of flux. Jeez, that's huge. And what we're doing here is there's a little bit of lead free left on those other two pads. We want to change that over to leaded, and I should be able to do that just by touching them. 1, 2. And that's pretty much all we need. And I'd like to get a little blob of leaded on this wire. Oops, almost had it. Or at least puffed up with solder. You know, we just want to make sure there's a good amount on there because that's going to be what draws our component to that wire. All right, that actually looks pretty good. We got just a little bit on that wire, and that's really all that we need. Okay, let's grab us a component. This I'm going to snag from this here donor board. This is also an iPhone 8. And I'm going to use a little flux. You can also steal these off the iPhone 10. There you go. All right. Now, we're going to make sure that we have a good amount of solder out here at the tip. And we do. Now, this is lead-free that's on here, and that's okay. I mean, we could, honestly, we don't really have to nitpick this and completely convert this over to leaded just for the sake of nitpicking, but I'm going to. So let's add a little bit of flux on here. And I'm going to get me a big blob of leaded on my arm. And we're just going to touch these. Oh, I can't wait to get a new tip. This micro pencil tip has seen better days. Now I want to make sure I've got the most out here at the tip, because we're just got one wire for this to stick to. Alright, so now we've got a big old blob out there at the tip. We got two little blobs out here at the back. This looks like something that's shaped just right to sit it down on our board. So let's get our board. Okay. And we're going to be trying to get the two pins in the back and then the one pin in the front. And you know, there may not be quite enough solder there. Let's just see how this goes. Ah, that's going to be fine. Okay, so let's get it there like that. I'll start warming this board up. And we're going to try to get that little component to sit right where it's supposed to. It's beautiful. Looks good. I can see the wire moving with it, I think. Okay, so to test whether or not we do have a good connection, actually I'm gonna heat it up and push on it one more time. Surely it's on there. Okay. Now to test this, we can check diode mode reading out at the connector. So if we come right on out to the connector here and we check diode mode at that pin, if this transistor is getting a connection, then we should have a good diode mode reading out here. So we will put our red probe on ground and we will put our black probe on that pin and we get a 0.5. So we are getting a diode mode reading there. Now, while this thing is still blistering hot, I'm going to go ahead and heat it. I'm going to clean it up because it cleans a lot better while it's hot. Not spotless though. I really just want to see that it works, and I don't want a bunch of flux in the connectors. We will save spotless and final repair until I know this thing is fixed. So there we go. We have replaced a transistor that is needed to create a battery communication line. A little sloppy, but I bet it works. All right, let's get this thing out of the holder. And we're going to put it in the customer's housing. Let's get a power button hooked up. We'll do dock flex. Let's do his screen and home button. Now by this point, I would already be switched and using one of my test screens because I don't like using a customer screen repeatedly. But for the sake of this video, I'm going to use the same exact screen. Okay, so we've only connected home button, power button, volume button. We have the dock flex and screen home button hooked up. Okay, now we're going to connect a charger. The charger is drawing 70, 200, 1 amp. So the charger instantly jumped to... So the charger instantly jumped, and it is drawing 1 amp of charging current, 0.96. I gotta get me a decent setup for that. That's terrible. And the phone is back up and running, and as you can see, we're already reporting 48% on the battery. So let's go ahead and unlock it. Oops. And we're getting a Touch ID error. I'll have to dig in and see what's up with Touch ID. So now that we've got it unlocked, we can see that we are getting 48% on the battery. And you know, this home button's not doing anything now. I'm not getting anything from the home button. Oh, you dirty... What did I do to break the home button? Any ideas? Anybody watch me break the home button? I'm not getting a home button. How about that? Home button is part of the screen shadowed? Oh, this thing's gonna drive me nuts. All right, let's see what's up with the home button. Wait, I've got it unlocked, right? I had it unlocked. All right, let's see what's up with the home button. I'm sure the battery percentage is fixed now, but we've got possible half backlight. And we've also got a non-working home button now. See if I can tell why. I bet you, while I was heating, I bet I floated something needed for home button. What do you want to bet me? I bet I got something too hot. Right? Let's just check. No? I don't see anything moving. And we know if these grounds are missing, we'll get no home button and no touch. Huh. Maybe it was just a fluke. I mean, I'm sure home button was working, right? Let's hook it back up. Was it a component on the bottom of the board? I've had home button not working before due to a component on the bottom of the board. Maybe I floated something whenever I was heating this up doing the topside work. Let's see, so we're back to drawing an amp of charging current. Charging is definitely working properly, but it would appear as though I broke the home button. Let's see. Home button's working. I just had it connected wrong. We're good on home button. It just want to give me a heart attack since I was recording. All right, so we have repaired touch. We have, in theory, repaired battery percentage, right? So let's hook it up to 3U and see what we get for battery percentage. Okay, we're showing a charger connect. And switching you over to 3U here, we've got the battery has been charged 881 times. The battery life is 86%. We have working touch, we have working home button, and this phone is fixed, finally. All right, guys, so that is it. We have got this thing working. Now, I'm still gonna go back through, I'm still gonna clean up, I'm gonna clean my flux off the board. I'm gonna insulate this a little better and get this back to the customer. He'll be pleased. So guys, that is it for now. I will see you soon. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.